Stunt World. It's the Hall of Fame show, featuring the Hall of Fame inductees performing their own specialties. Cars, motorcycles, aerials, jet skis, high falls, and more. Watch the seemingly impossible. Witness the unbelievable. Are they crazy? Is it an addiction? Fasten your seatbelts. It's Stunt World, the Hall of Fame. Let's see what's coming up for you on today's show.
Hello, my name is Spanky Spangler, and I'm a professional stuntman. The one I had the most trouble with was a car I jumped into water. The car turned upside down and got stuck in the mud. I was underwater for 3 minutes and 18 seconds. And for 2.5 minutes, I held my breath and did some pretty big stunts. One called the Sky Crash, where I crashed 2 cars in midair off ramps, a lot of high falls, jumped out of a helicopter into a moving truck, and different things like that.
Becky, it's my honor to present you with this miniature replica of Stunt World's perpetual Hall of Fame monument.
When we watch a stunt person do it, they do it so well. It's like, oh, well, that didn't look too hard. I could probably do that. Not knowing all the things that could go wrong.
Stunt performers are professionals, and they often risk life and limb for those performances.
Now here's your host, Frank Simpson.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this special episode of Stunt World International Legends of Dare. I'm your host, Frank Simpson, and this show is a monumental tribute to this year's inductees into the Stunt World Hall of Fame. We are proud to announce 4 new inductees into the Stunt World Hall of Fame this year, and their names will be immortalized on the Stunt World's perpetual Hall of Fame monument. Their names will be alongside such greats as Evel Knievel, Rene Julien, and Dar Robinson. This program profiles the year's Hall of Fame inductees and their contributions into the stunt world, along with other notable scenes that stand out in the world of stunts. Let's begin with the man who has executed more than 3,000 falls. He's an expert in all fields, including motorcycles, automobiles, aircraft, snowmobiles, horses, high falls, and fire. He has performed in a myriad of movies and television programs. Please welcome director, producer, and stunt coordinator, Spanky Spangler.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to the show, and congratulations on your induction.
Oh, thank you very much. Glad to be here.
Tell me what the most dangerous stunt that you've ever done.
I try to look at all my stunts as being dangerous because I try to treat them all the same, because you let anything slip by and you could get hurt. But the one I had the most trouble with was a car I jumped into water. The car turned upside down and got stuck in the mud, had oxygen inside the car, and the oxygen hose wrapped around the pipe with some of my roll bar in my car, and I couldn't free it. So I was underwater upside down. It was dark there and had divers coming to my safety, but I was underwater for 3 minutes and 18 seconds. And for 2.5 minutes, I held my breath until my crew, my survival crew, came and pulled me out of the car.
Tell us, why are you here?
Well, I'm going to jump this car. I'm going to try to go 203 feet past that to break the world record. It's for a passenger car.
What dangers are involved?
Drowning, that's the main one. I have oxygen in the car. I have a few safety factors in the car. The main thing is getting on the ramp and getting all 4 wheels so you don't bounce on the ramp and coming off real smooth.
Have you ever done anything like this before?
Yes, I've jumped motorcycles and bikes and different things like that into water before. I've jumped a lot of cars before, so I'm pretty well set, and I know what I want to do and have to do under the water. I'm ready for it.
Spanky painted his 1973 Chevy Nova yellow so that his rescue divers would be able to spot it quickly in the murky water. As Spanky approaches the ramp, he's traveling in excess of 80 miles an hour. He's a veteran of over 300 car jumps. Spanky clears the 225-foot mark, but hits with a fierce impact, which causes his car to flip upside down while it sinks. Now Spanky's car is wedged upside down in the mud. The rescue team immediately dives to free Spanky from the wreckage. Spanky's wife waits in anticipation as 2 minutes have now passed and he's still yet to surface. Suddenly, Spanky's helmet pops to the surface. The divers surface with Spanky in their arms. The crowd is ecstatic to see Spanky emerge alive. Spanky's leap measured 232 feet, which is a new world's record.
Car turned over, I lost my oxygen. I was hanging down. It was so dark under there I couldn't find it. It took me a while to find it. I felt the divers coming in and touching me, and that made me feel a lot better. But there for a second, man, I thought I was in a little bit of trouble.
2.5 minutes, a considerable period of time.
Yeah.
But I guess you have to do what you have to do, right?
Yeah, well, something like that, you know. You can reach out, you can reach inside yourself a little bit harder and go a little bit longer. But then, right then, I knew that I had a certain type of instinct to do this type of stunt work because instead of panic or giving up or anything like that, I stayed with it. I knew my divers were coming to get me, and I felt real comfortable with that. So I waited for them to come because I couldn't get the doors open, and as soon as they got there, we did a buddy system, and I got oxygen, then came up.
We thought it would be interesting to look at the mental aspect of being a stuntman. We talked with renowned sports psychologist Dr. Terrence Sandbeck. Doctor, what type of person would risk their very existence performing stunts?
A person who is capable of sizing up a situation very quickly, a person who is very coordinated, a person who is able to see situations and judge what the consequences of taking an action will be, a person who has a remarkable sense of timing, what test pilots call spatial awareness, knowing exactly where you are in space and time and where you're going to be in the next instant. I suspect that when you're going into a stunt, you may have overestimated what you can do just as you get to the point of contact. But again, the good ones are able to compensate. You can't estimate everything. And a good number of stunts, you do the best you can, and as you're going into it, you're constantly calculating up to the very moment it's finished. And you're always compensating. It's like, uh-oh, I think, well, I better compensate. But all that happens very quickly. Again, this ability to live life to its fullest. I suspect that all stunt people are born with the destiny to be a stunt person, to take risks, to do all these things that are exciting and enjoyable.
How old were you when you first started performing stunts?
Well, the first stunt I did, I was 12 years old. I was in a kid's film, and I did a fight scene. I did a roll off a roof, and I was 12 years old. When I was 13, I doubled some kids in some movies and jumped out of wagons and ran into the woods, and I thought it was real simple and real fun.
So that captured your interest, and you've been with it ever since, correct?
Well, they paid me $15. This was quite a while ago, and I thought that was pretty good money, and stayed with it.
Any injuries or mishaps other than this close call that you had?
I went 20 years and did some pretty big stunts, one called the Sky Crash, where I crashed 2 cars in midair off ramps. Did a lot of car jumps and a lot of high falls, jumped out of a helicopter into a moving truck and different things like that. I never broke a bone or had a stitch.
50,000 fans watch as Spanky Spangler and Randy Hill approach their ramps at over 50 miles an hour, creating this spectacular head-on collision called Sky Crash. One of Spanky Spangler's most memorable stunts was his leap through the pyramid of 15 cars. Spanky and his crew carefully constructed the pyramid, positioning the cars one on top of each other. A 2,000-pound van was then placed in the center of the pyramid, serving as Spanky's target. All the careful planning and calculations are now going to be put to the test as Spanky is helped into his car. Spanky must hit the van dead center or risk serious injury. Speed is the most important element in this stunt. Now, in order for Spanky to hit his mark, he must be traveling at least 55 miles an hour. Too fast or too slow, Spanky will miss his mark. Spanky's car traveled a bit too high. The roof and roll cage are torn off. Amazingly, Spanky cheats death one more time. The object is for Spanky to hit the van, punch it out, and leave the pyramid standing. Let's watch as Spanky misses and knocks the pyramid of cars over, nearly costing him his life. Unbelievable. Spanky Spangler is also the master of the high fall. His stunt career includes over 3,000 high falls. Here's a 167-foot world record fall into a foam bag. Wow!
No problems. Nice float, nice catch. Hair blew out real great, and everything just turned out real good.
One of Spanky's most notable high falls is when he fell out of a helicopter into the back of a moving tractor-trailer rig.
We're going to do a stunt here today at Phoenix Dragway that's never been done before. It consists of a high fall out of a helicopter to this tractor-trailer rig.
Spanky's target is the center of the truck's 8x40-foot trailer. 300 empty cardboard boxes will cushion Spanky's 70-foot fall. Spanky attempts to drop a test marker into the back of the truck, but his first attempt fails. Spanky has the pilot make the necessary adjustments and drops a second test marker. This attempt is a direct hit, a bullseye. Spanky is satisfied with his test, and he's ready to attempt the actual fall.
Out of a helicopter into a moving truck and different things like that. I never broke a bone or had a stitch. And then it finally happened. I had a seatbelt that slipped on me. I was jumping an auto seat and I shattered my knee. And I was really upset about it because I went 20 years without ever breaking a bone or having a stitch. And then I broke a bone and had stitches.
Thousands of screaming fans cheer as Spanky makes his attempt. Spanky nosedives hard into the dirt ramp, causing him to flip viciously. As you can see, this stunt didn't go as planned. Spanky hit with such an impact, it left him with a compound fracture on one of his legs.
Your name is going to be memorialized forever now, but is there one thing that you would like to be remembered for?
Well, I'd like to really be remembered for as a pretty good stunt guy and good to all the other stunt guys, because I have a lot of respect for the stunt guys out there, because when you put on that helmet and you look at that ramp, you're on your own. And every time I look at that ramp, and I'm always saying the same thing, you know, what am I doing here now? I say, you know, it's a job and I like doing it, but I have respect because it's so hard and there's a lot of pressure involved in it. I just have a lot of respect for all the other stunt guys, and I hope I'm remembered for something like that.
Well, when you're sitting there with your helmet on looking at the ramp, have you ever had a gut feeling that it was either going to go well or go poorly?
I knew they were all going to go well.
You can rely on that.
Yes. I'm 100% confident of all the stunts that I do. Sometimes different things happen when you're working with other people and there's other stunt guys involved, like you're bringing 3 or 4 cars into an intersection one time. Everybody's got to be right on. And it's a lot harder when other people are involved with it because the timing's so critical. But yeah, it's a good job.
Good. Spanky, it's my honor to present you with this miniature replica of Stunt World's perpetual Hall of Fame monument. And again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now let's turn the clock back and take a look at a past legend.
Bob Whitehorse, a Cherokee Indian daredevil, used to dazzle the folks in Van Nuys, California back in 1938 by dropping off a car doing 70 miles an hour. Aside from getting dusty, he was none the worse for wear. Practically from the first moment motorcycles were invented, men and women cyclists have been trying to cheat death on wheels. Most of their exploits, like Putt Mossman's 1938 attempt to jump the River Lee, have not been memorable. The man destined to change all that first appeared on the Daredevil circuit in 1965. A one-time insurance salesman, con man, car thief, and amateur ski jumper, by the late 1970s, he claimed he had broken every bone in his body except his neck at least once. He was a millionaire 2 or 3 times over, and children played with toys named after him. Spurred on by his life as a bore philosophy, his stunts became progressively more death-defying until his name became a household word. He was the self-proclaimed last gladiator in the New Rome, born Robert Craig, and later known to millions as Evel Knievel.
In the mid-1960s, French daredevil Gilles Delamare, who literally rolled into the stunt spotlight. Known to thousands as Garrulous Gil, his car rolls and crashes kept audiences on the edge of their seats. Delamare's peers considered him a maverick because he refused to wear a seatbelt in any of his stunts. Garrulous Gil wasn't the first stuntman to attempt car rolls or crashes. Car stunts have been around for as long as cars have. So as long as there are cars, there will be people determined to perform stunts in them.
It's time to introduce our next Hall of Fame inductee. He is best known for his incredibly balanced wheelies on motorcycles, 3-wheelers, and 4-wheeled ATVs. He has performed in feature films and network television and holds the Guinness Book of World Records title for the longest wheelie. Please meet Hall of Famer Doug Domokos, better known as the Wheelie King. Thank you. Tell us about that wheelie, 145 miles on one wheel?
Yeah, I set the record in 1984 at Talladega International Speedway, Talladega, Alabama. I set it on an XR 500 Honda at the time because I was sponsored by Honda. It was 145 miles, and the only reason I stopped was I ran out of gas. I had a special refueling process that I was helped with by the special projects of American Honda, Dix Erickson and his crew. It was like a tanker ship to a F-16, that type of refueling process. I'd have a hose that I'd grab out of the air and stuff it in my gas tank with a one-way valve and pump about a gallon at a time. But I never got to use it. And at the end of at the 145 miles, I was so tired I didn't want to go any farther.
Any plans to do something like that again, or is that record good enough right now?
Probably in the future, yeah, I'm gonna go again. I did it on a Honda then. The next time I want to do it on a Harley, I think.
So when did you get started? How did that all come about?
I got started, I used to race motocross in the amateur level, and the last year I raced professional level, and I did it for 2 reasons. One was to see how fast I was against the pros that traveled around the country, and also to see the professional people in the business, because at the same time I was wheeling a little bit, doing a little bit of wheelie demonstrations after the motocross races back in Niles, Michigan, where I'm from originally. And, well, I got my big debut was at Redbud racetrack in Buchanan, Michigan, where I wheelied around the entire motocross track without putting a front tire down. And one of my friends came up to me and said, Doug, you should be factory sponsored by Honda, Kawasaki, or one of the big OEMs. I said, nah, that'll never work. They'll never go for it. But I was wrong. So I was sponsored from 1979 through 81 with Kawasaki, and then from 1981 to 84 with American Honda.
Is there any special trick or something that you could pass on to youngsters out there in the world that like to follow your footsteps?
Just go for it. Any goals that you have set, write them down on a piece of paper and look at them 3 times a day. Focus on them and go for it. Nothing's impossible. Don't let anybody tell you any negative stuff. Just really focus your mind on what you want to do, and if it's a positive thing, it'll happen for you.
What does the future hold?
I'd like to go to, I'd like to see the world on the real wheel. I'd like to go to China and wheelie around the China wall, something like that.
That would be a great one as well. Any downside to this profession?
Some muscle tears. I've had 1 broken bone from it, but it's not too bad. I keep the motorcycle on the rear wheel on the ground pretty much. I don't do any jumping stuff. I'm pretty safe like that. It takes a little bit to keep it on the wheel.
Doug, again, it's my honor to present to you this miniature replica of Stunt World's perpetual Hall of Fame monument. Again, congratulations on your induction.
Thanks, sir.
Let's take a look at what's coming up next on Stunt World, the Hall of Fame. Now let's join legendary stuntman Ricky D.
Some might ask, do you have a death wish?
No, I do like to take on the ultimate, which would be totally disgusting.
we'll go behind the scenes of an enormous action-packed super feature. We'll demystify motorcycle gags, special weapons, camera effects, stunts, boat crashes, and more. Watch as a stuntman fights for his life in a real behind-the-scenes near tragedy.
I'm telling you, this is not for everybody. A man almost died right now.
Come here! Has he got it? Has he got the air?
We need to push this thing on him.
Of course, there's one common surface that just stands out of all the rest of them. The good ones are alive.
We hope you've enjoyed visiting with legendary stunt people and special guests. Until next time, from Stunt World and all of our Hall of Fame inductees, goodbye and many happy landings.